Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. Let us now start our Gita study with a prayer. This is on page 172 of the book, The Universal Prayers. The last one on that page 172. This is from the Sri Krishna Karunamrita. Sri Krishna Karunamritam. Sri Krishna Karunamritam. Om Tamasiravirivodyan Majjatamamburashau Plava iva Trishitanam Sadhuvarshiva Megha Nidhiriva Vidhananam Dirgativramayanam Vishakiva Kushalam no Dautamatu Shauri Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are seeking the grace of the Lord, and in a very poetic way, the author of this hymn explains with examples, analogies, like the sun flashing forth light unto the one enshrouded in darkness. Somebody is in complete darkness and the sunlight comes and gives relief. Like the boat rescuing a person sinking in the sea. Like the cloud showering forth its refreshing waters on the thirsty. Like the storehouse of wealth removing the distress of the penniless. And like the physician bringing relief to a person suffering from a long and painful disease. In the same way, may the Supreme Lord come into our lives and grant unto us what is auspicious. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We have been studying the 14th chapter. The topic of this chapter is the discussion of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Why we should be worried about this topic, sattva, rajas, tamas? The reason is already stated in the second chapter, verse 45. Nistraigunyo bhava Arjuna. Sri Krishna said in that verse, 245 to Arjuna, you become free from the three gunas. What if the gunas are there? Why we should become free? It is because of the three gunas masking our true nature, divine nature, that human beings go through all kinds of suffering all their lives. The only one thing that is free from three gunas is the divine presence within us. God is free from three gunas, nistraya gunya. All beings are subject to three gunas. That's why all beings have suffering, changes, coming and going. So we have to become free from the three gunas if you want to enjoy eternal peace and ananda. That was the instruction. In what way these three gunas bind us? How do they limit us and cause suffering? Was studied in the earlier verses, slokas of this chapter. Now we are doing verse number 14. In the earlier slokas, Sri Krishna said, Sattva also binds. So among the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, Sattva is the best. better than the other two. In shloka number 6 in this chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna said, Sattva also is binding. It's like a golden chain. Even if it is made of gold, the chain binds nevertheless. So Sattva is like that. But the Sattva is also good because it shows us the way to freedom. You remember the parable of the three robbers. The Sattva robber, the third one, came back, untied the knots of the merchant and showed him the way to his home. That's what Sattva does. Sattva, if you have increased Sattva in your personality, Sattva so shows us the way to freedom from all suffering, shows us the way to salvation, liberation, mukti. That's why we should have Sattva, increase Sattva. Then Rajas also binds. How does Rajas binds? Verse number 7. Karma sangena dehinam rajo ragatmakam middhi trishna sanga samudbhavaha. Rajas is because of desire. Trishna means desire, thirst. Sangha means attachment. We all have desires, some more, some less. Some have good desires, some have very bad desires. That's human nature. That is because of Rajas. We all have Rajas, more or less. Rajas, because it causes desire and attachment, Krishna Sangha, it binds us. Karma Sangena Deginam Badnati. This was sloka number 7. So makes us attached to karma phala. As long as we are attached to karma phala, our life will have to continue. We do some karma, you have to experience the karma phala. Then you do more karma phala. So if not in this life, next life. So that is what Rajas does, binds us to worldly life. Tamaha, verse number 8, Tamas also binds. How does it bind? It is because of mohanam sarvadehinam. It causes ignorance, delusion in everybody. Pramada alasya nidrabhihi. Second line of verse 8. Pramada alasya nidrabhihi tat nibadnati. Tat means tamas. Tamas binds. In the bondage of tamas is in the form of pramada. Pramada means a very big blunder, not a small mistake. And pramada means ignorance of our true nature, not knowing we are divine, thinking we are body mind. That's due to pramada, forgetfulness of our true nature. Pramada also means aviveka, not being able to discriminate between real and unreal, between right and wrong. Mistaking wrong things to be the right things, doing the opposite things. That is due to tamas. So in these ways, all the three gunas bind us, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now the instruction is you have to become free from three gunas. How to become free will come in the later shlokas of this chapter. Now, in verse number 14, 15, and 15, what happens to a person if a person leaves the body in sattva or rajas or tamasic mode? You should always be in sattvic mode, best. But sometimes you are in the grip of rajas. Sometimes you are in the sway of tamas. So Bhagavan is going to describe in verses 14, 15, what will happen to a person when a person leaves the body, when he or she is in the sattvic mode, or in the rajasic mode, or in a tamasic mode. Different destinations, depending upon what happens in our mind at the last moment of our life. This we studied in the 8th chapter. Whatever thought is uppermost in our mind at the last moment of our life indicates the future, the destination where we go after leaving the body. So what happens when you leave the body when you're in a sattvic mode? Sattvic mode means thinking about God, not worrying about worldly matters, and repeating the name of God, not having any desires or attachment to anything. Sattvic mode. If a person leaves the body when in such a frame of mind, then he will go to God. You will realize he will achieve liberation. That is studied from the eighth chapter. In the eighth chapter. No, that is again in the 14th chapter, in the 14th chapter, 14th verse, 14. Yadā sattve pravṛddhe tu pralayaṃ yāti dehabhṛt tadottamavidāṃ lokānamalānpratipadyate. Yadā sattve pravṛddhe. When the sattva is dominant, pravṛddha means full dominant. When sattva is dominant in our minds, dehabhṛt pralayaṃ yāti. The jiva leaves the body. Dehabhṛt means one who carries the body. Jiva, soul, leaves the body. When in a sattvic mode, when is sattvic, then what happens? Tada, then uttamavidāṃ lokānamalānpratipadyate. Pratipadyate means reaches or attains to those worlds, lokas, where people who have done good deeds have gone. People who have knowledge, people who have done good deeds, they have gone to higher levels of existence. There this jiva will go when leaving the body in a sattvic frame of mind. That is to be done. So that is why we should practice chanting God's name all the time, thinking about God all the time, so that at the last moment we will be thinking about God, chanting His name. Then that will take us to God. That you know from earlier chapter 8. When a person leaves the body, when his mind is in a rajasic mode, then what happens? That is in verse number 15, first line. Rajasi pralayaṃ gatva karma sangishu jāyate. Rajasi means in rajasic frame of mind, pralayaṃ gatva, ending the life. What happens to the jiva? Karma sangishu jāyate. He takes birth, he or she takes birth in karma sanghi, means in a family who are attached to karma. So much activity, doing this, doing that, cannot sit down and relax. Lot of desires, lot of activity. Such people are there. They have to be always doing something. They cannot sit down and quietly think about God for 5 minutes in a day. And those people who are attached to karma like that, in their family, this person, Rajasic person, will go and be born again. That means when a person leaves the body thinking about worldly things, oh, I should have done that one. Maybe I should have not have written this in my will. I should have written the other way in my will, like this property, or I want to see my great grandchild, my grandson is getting married, and if I live for one more year, he will have a child, I'll have a great grandchild. Some things are like that. Family, worldly desires, money, property, family, position, like that one. If a person leaves the body thinking about worldly matters like that, rajasic matters, desire, activity, then he'll be born in the same way, performing more activities in a family of very active people. There are people like that. They just have to be doing something. Desires, aspiration. They want to rise higher. They want to become richer. They want to become the CEO, president of a company. Like that. This is not, even Swamis are not free from this desire. Even some Swamis, they want to become the head Swami of a center. You have taken sannyas and you have surrendered everything to God's will. A sannyasi should be happy and content. If God puts me in this position, in this place, I am happy. I do whatever I am required to do. If God puts me in a different ashram, in a different situation, I should be happy there, doing my work there, not complaining. Acceptance of God's will. That should be there. Most people, most 99% Swamis are like that. They don't complain. They are happy wherever you put them. If you put them in the relief work and some flood relief, they'll be happy doing the relief work. If you put them in a school to teach, they'll be happy teaching children. If you put them in the kitchen, they'll be happy working in the kitchen. They are like that, 99.9%. But some people want to become the cat Swami. These are his there. Power like that. That is Rajas. If we leave the body when we are in a Rajasic temperament, then that will, what happen, will again be born, doing things, worldly desires, achieving big this. So that should not be there. The worst thing is when a person leaves the body in a tamasic temperament. That's in the second line of verse 15. Second line. Tatha pralinas tamasi mudhayo nishujayate. Tamasi pralinaha. When a person leaves the body, when he is in a tamasic temperament, anger, why did you do like this to me? The man is about to die, worrying about all those things. Like that, anger, desire, hatred, these things are, if are in their mind, if these things are in our mind at the time of leaving a body, worst possible situation. So what will happen? Muda yonishu jayate. Such a person will be born in Muda yoni means in the born amidst the deluded. Muda means a deluded person. In the commentary, Shankara say, dying in a state of dominant tamas, one is born in the wombs of animals and so forth. So we go downwards. Human birth is the most important, most precious birth. The greatest gift is human birth. Because from human birth you can go higher, reach God, reach realization, moksha, not from animal birth. So that will, what will happen? You go down. But some people have a question. If a person is a human being in this life, how can he or she be born as an animal in the next life? Swami Ranganath commenting on this verse 15, he has explained in detail. It is possible to go down and be born as an animal if a person, human being in this life, behaves like an animal and does things that are done by an animal in an animal body, does not behave like a human, behaves like an animal. Then instead of being born as a human being, this life was given, human birth was given, but he or she did not use it properly, wasted it, behaved like an animal, or worse sometimes. Then you will go down. One more life will be spent like that. Then it will come up again. It will come up again. There's always upward tendency. That's the good news is no matter how low we go, we will come up. So that will happen, but it will take time. One lifetime will be an animal. Animal life, you cannot do anything new. Only past karma we are working out. Animals become sick. They are hunted by other predators, bigger animals. So all these problems come to animals too. But all that karma they will work out, but they cannot do any new karma as animals. New good karma. We can do new good karma, improve our position. That's the speciality of human birth. So that will happen. Some faiths, they don't believe that a human being can be born as an animal. They cannot go down, yet it is possible. Some faiths believe that animals have no soul. We believe they have a soul. So that is Muda Yonishu Jayate. If a person is in a tamasic frame of mind, tamasic mode leaves the body, then he will go down. Or he may be born as a human being and at a lowest level. So there are human beings, wide variety is there, even among human beings. There are people at the highest level trying to realize God, realizing God, best human beings. Their description we have seen in earlier chapters. The qualities of a devotee, qualities of a Siddha Prajna, second chapter, those are the highest beings among human beings. But among human beings, there are the worst people also. People who do very bad things and go to jail, killing other people and things like that. There are human beings, but they do things like that. And there are still other human beings in deep in the forest, living in a tribe, born there in the forest. They don't have any education, no opportunity for education. Somehow subsisting, hunting, living in a cave or building a hut. They spend their whole life like that. So one lifetime is wasted. They have no, the environment is such that there is no opportunity for them to rise higher. What can they do? Born in a deep forest to tribal people, there's no chance to improvement. There's no school, there's no education. There is just hunting something, growing something, eating, sleeping. Whole life goes like that, fighting. So even among human beings, there are worst possible situations. But if the best thing is if you leave the body in a sattvic mode, thinking about God, not having done anything really seriously bad in our lifetimes, using our human birth in the best possible way we could, then we'll reach God. If you think about God the time of death, you'll reach God. Thinking about world, you'll come back to world. Still, worse things you do, go back down in the animal. So three possibilities. So these verses 14, 15, they emphasize what's the message here to us? Always remain in a sattvic mode. Don't let tamas overtake our minds. Rajas, to the extent rajas is necessary for activity. We need some energy, some drive. That's necessary. To do good deeds, helping other people, doing good deeds. That we need rajas. But tamas, no. That's what we should. That's the message here. If we die when we are in tamasic mode, then we'll go back. Lowest level. We may be even maybe born human being, but not in any position to do anything good. Now, the how these three gunas affect our life is explained in verse number 16. Karmana sukritasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasah phalam. Karmana sukritasyahu. Ahu means they said. We also use in conversation. They say that if you do this, it will happen. Who is they? Common sense, wise people. Wise people, those who have had experience, they say this is the right thing to do. So we say they said. Ahu means they said. They said. Wise people said. Karmanaha sukritasya karmanaha. Of good karma. Satvikam nirmalam phalam. Satvikam nirmalam phalam. Stainless, nirmala means pure, immaculate, and satvik phala will come of our karmas. When we do satvik karma, that will come in the later chapter 17, 18. Satvik karma, rajasic karma, tamasic karma. That will. But here, sattvic karma, generally we have some good idea. What is good? Good action, not hurting other people, not telling lies, not cheating, remaining morally pure, helping other people to the extent possible, taking the name of God. These are all sattvic things. If you do these sattvic activities, satvikam nirmalam phalam karmanaha sukritasya karmanaha. Sukritasya karmana means meritorious work, good deeds. Good deeds. Thinking good thoughts, speech must be good, no falsehood, profanity, thought must be pure, and action must be pure. If we live like that one, then we'll be in a sattvic mode. They say that stainless and sattvic fruit proceeds from meritorious works. Good deeds we have to do. Sukrita karma. Sukritasya karmanaha nirmalam sattvikam phalam. Sattvic phala will come. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. But if we do rajasic actions, rajasic action means action done to fulfill a desire. I want to do this so that I can get this benefit. That sankalpa is there. Calculated activity. And I want to do this particular action because there is something in it for me, not in an unselfish way. Such people help other people, but expecting something in return. Helping other people is good, but there should be no motive to get something in return. In an unselfish way, serving the Lord and other people, do the good activities, serve them and leave it there. No result expected. No. Some people want publicity. They give charity donation, they give, and they want their name and some plaque, some marble plaque has to be put in front. So everybody knows that they give the money. Yes, some people did that, tried to do that. Swami said, no, we are not going to put anybody's name. Sri Ramakrishna is the only name. Desire is there. They're not bad people. They want to give donation. Intention is good, but the desire is there to become famous, well known. Everybody should know that they give this much money. So that is Rajasic. Good karma, but Rajasic mode, Rajasic temperament. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. When you do Rajasic activities, phala, the result is dukkha, suffering will come. Ajnanam tamasah phalam. The fruit of tamas is ajnana, ignorance. That's the worst thing. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of our true nature. Ignorance of God's presence within us and everybody. Not awareness of God's presence. We are at least theoretically aware God is present everywhere in everyone. That much we have read from Gita. We are trying to put into practice some beginning steps we have taken. We are taking. But some people don't want to believe in all those things. They dismiss all these things. So that is a tamasic temperament. When you have tamasic temperament, dukkham, ajnanam tamasah phalam, rajasutta phalam dukkham, the fruit of, result of rajas is dukkha, suffering. The result of tamas is ajnana, ignorance. Ignorance is the cause of all problems. All problems that we experience, no matter what kind of problem, is because of one main cause, and that is not knowing who we are. Thinking I'm the body mind, I have to keep the body in good condition, I want to become famous, I want to earn money. These are all rajasic, tamasic kinds of thought. They land us in difficulty. Dukkha is the result. That is the sloka number 16. Karmanas sukartasyahu satyakam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasah phalam. They say that stainless and sattvic fruit proceeds from meritorious works, sattvic deeds. But of rajas, the fruit is pain. And of tamas, the fruit is ignorance. Now we go to sloka number 17. These are all the description of sattva, rajas and tamas, their effect on our personality. Will they lead us to happiness or pain, liberation or bondage? Sloka number 17. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha eva cha Pramadamohau tamaso bhavato jnanameva cha. Sattvat jnanam sanjayate. Sattva produces jnana. Jnana means knowledge. Knowledge here means knowledge of the self, knowledge of God. Knowledge of world we can acquire with self-effort. Apravidya, we can study some subject, work hard. But apravidya has limited. It's useful but not ultimately it's a temporary, it goes away. But at some point in life, apravidya is very necessary. We should be educated. It has a part to play in our life. But here with jnana means knowledge of the self, atma jnana, or knowledge of God, whichever way you want to think. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. Knowledge is born of sattva. So we should remain sattvic in our mind. Activities must be sattvic, speech must be sattvic, action must be sattvic, thought must be sattvic. Then we'll get knowledge of God, knowledge of the self or knowledge of God. We become one with. Liberation will come. Sattva. Rajaso lobha evacha. The result of rajas is greed. Lobha means greed. In the 16th chapter, there is a verse. It says, the root cause of all problems in human life is or three: kama, krodha, lobha. It says in this 16th chapter, trividam narakasyedam dvaram nasanamatmanaha kamaha krodha tatha lobha tasmadetattrayam tyajet. I'll give you the sloka number 15, 16. Trividam narakasyedam 21. No, in the wrong chapter. 16th chapter. Yeah, 21. Sloka number 21 in chapter 16. Trividam narakasyedam dvaram nashanamatmanaha kamaha krodha tatha lobha tasmat etatrayam tyajet. Therefore, these three things are to be given up. What are they? Kama, krodha, lobha. Because they are at the root of all suffering. If you go to the newspaper or TV news, so many reports of crime and suffering, these things happen, reported. If you analyze any one of that crime, the root cause will be one of these three, or a combination of these three. Any crime, like robbing a bank, or stealing, or breaking into somebody's house, or doing something worse, harming others, if you examine the root cause of why this man or person did this one, the reason will be one of these three, or some combination of these three. Kama, krodha, lobha. The motivation for that person to do this crime was either kama, uncontrolled desire, or krodha, anger, uncontrolled anger, or lobha, greed, some combination. So these three things have to be given up. These three things are because of rajas and tamas. That's why we have to subdue rajas and tamas and increase sattva in our lives. That gives us freedom from all suffering. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha. We are doing verse number 17. Pramada moho tamaso bhavato jnanameva cha. Sattva is, the result of sattva is knowledge, means self-knowledge. Sattva sandhayate jnanam. The result of rajas is greed. Rajaso lobha evacha. Lobha means greed, not knowing when to stop. We all need things. Even sannyasis need a few things: place to stay, some clothes to wear, some food to eat. We need basic things. That's okay. Householders need more things because the more responsibilities, children are there, parents are there, they have to maintain the family, job, and everything. So they need more things. That's okay. Need. But far beyond need, if a person still wants more and more and more, then that is lobha, that is greed. Greed will land a person in great difficulty. Greed can kill also. Some few years ago, I gave a Sunday talk on Tolstoy's story. Tolstoy's story is called How Much Land a Man Needs. That's the title of the story. That story was in our high school textbook. High school textbook. I finished high school in 70 years ago, 71 years ago. So everything I read in high school, everything has forgotten. But this story is stuck in my mind. Even now, I remember the story. It says how greed can kill a man. A man lost his life seeking more and more and more land. He was a farmer, didn't know where to stop. So greed is a killer. We should not allow ourselves to be greedy. Contentment. Opposite of greed is contentment. Throughout Gita, we say santushta. Throughout Gita, Sri Krishna says, remain content with what you have. A contented person is happier than a very rich man who has a lot of money but not content. A person who has a reasonable income, $60,000-$70,000 a year or $100,000 a year, family, that he can be happy with what he has. If a person has $2 million a year income, still not happy, he's unhappy. He's worse than this person. So happiness does not depend upon how much we have. Happiness depends upon our contentment. So that is what uh, sattva does, makes us content. Rajas does the opposite, makes us greedy. Rajaso lobha evacha. Lobha means greed. Then what is the effect of tamas? You are doing verse number 17. Pramada mohau tamasaha bhavato jnanameva cha. Pramada moha are the result of tamas. The word pramada comes several times. Pramada means forgetting our true nature, which is divine. The Swamiji has said, all the scriptures have said. Swamiji has said what the scriptures have said. What did Swamiji say? Each soul is potentially divine. All of us are divine, potentially. Actually, we have not realized the divinity. It's there, but you are limited to the body mind, the present state. But that can be changed. That will change. It's going to change. It is going to change. You realize our true nature sooner or later. That's our destiny. It's not permanent. This ignorance is not permanent. It is going to go away. Some work is needed. So pramada moha tamasaha. Because of tamas, pramada, forgetfulness, resulting in unhappiness, misery. Moha means delusion. Delusion means thinking that something will give me happiness, which cannot. Most people have this notion that if I do this, and this, I'll be happy. What is that thing that they think will bring happiness? A good job, good position, lot of money, lot of property, very good family, good husband and wife, good children, grandchildren. All of these things, if we have, then you'll be happy. That is the common notion. There is some truth in it. Otherwise, they will not be seeking all of these things. But the happiness that these things bring are severely limited. in time, in quality, in duration and quality, because they have a beginning and an end. When you were born, we didn't have any property. Maybe your parents had property. Eventually, it will come to us, inheritance. There was no, when a child is born, there is no husband or wife. Parents are there. They all come later, at some point in life, the beginning. And all of them will leave, or they will be there, I have to leave. All associations are temporary, limited in time. All the things will be there, I will have to live the same, or I will be there and they will leave one by one, all of them together. Separation is inevitable, is going to come. So when separation comes, you will be unhappy. Even when you are with them, the happiness is, quality is questionable. Children bring a lot of happiness, children bring a lot of pain also. The same thing with the job and everything. Mixture, combination. So that's not the source of happiness. Thinking that these things bring us happiness is moha. Tamas causes that one. A jnani does not have any delusion like that. He's clear-minded. These things are not going to give any happiness. Whatever happiness it seems to give is temporary, comes and goes. I don't want that. I want permanent happiness. You want happiness. You don't want to be unhappy. You want to be happy. But our happiness we want is must be permanent, unconditional. Happiness coming from other people is conditional. They must also love us. If I love somebody, if that person doesn't love me, then there is no happiness in that relationship. Conditional, time limited, limited in time. But happiness coming from God or knowledge of self, Atmajnana, or pure devotion or self knowledge, that is permanent, eternal, unconditional. Even if the body is in good, poor condition, we will be happy. But not so when you are depending for happiness on worldly things. As long as I am in good health, I can enjoy. Supposing I become old and sick, all the things are there, but I cannot enjoy. So many expensive cars are there, but I cannot get up from my bed. What is good of having all the cars? Burden. So that's not the kind of happiness we should seek. So tamas causes pramada moha. We are discussing moha, all this misapprehension, wrong understanding that these things will give me happiness, pursuing them, spending all life pursuing them. That is what tamas does. Pramada moha tamasaha bhavato ajnanameva cha. So here it says error, pramada, delusion, moha, and ignorance, ajnanam, are born of tamas. So what we should do? Decrease and decrease and decrease tamas, less and less and less. Maintain some rajas, combine with sattva, increase sattva. That's what we should do, self-effort. Eventually, that sattva also will have to be given up and will become totally free from all the gunas. Nishtray gunya we become. That means you become one with the divine. Highest goal of human life will be reached if we become free from the three gunas. Nishtray gunyo bhava. Now we go to the verse number 18. Same theme. What happens? What's the destination where we go if you are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic? 18. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaganya gunavrittastha adho gachanti tamasaha. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha. You see the suffix stha, like grihastha. Sattvastha means one who stays in sattva, one is sattvic. Sattvastha, plural. People who are sattvic in temperament, what do they have? What happens to them? Urdhvam gachanti. They go to higher levels of existence. When they die, when they leave this world, they go to higher realms of existence. They will be born as gods, devaloka, And they will, for some time, they stay there, and then they will go higher to Brahma Loka, and then they go to liberation, upward journey. If we lead a sattvic life, sattvasthaha urdhvam gachanti, they go up. What about rajasic people? Madhye tishtanti rajasaha. They stay in the middle, where we are right now. If you're rajasic in temperament, you'll be born as human being. Desires are there, activity, energy, desire to do something, get something is there. Make us be born again to pursue our desires and karma, or work out our karma. This is rajas. Stay where we are. Madhye tishtanti, in the middle, as human birth. What happens to tamasic people? Jaganya guna vrittastha adho gachanti tamasa. Adho gachanti tamasa. They go down in evolution. Jaganya guna vrittastha. Abiding in the ways of the lowest constituent. Jaganya means lower level. Doing all kinds of wrong things. Those such tamasic people, where do they go? Adho gachanti. They go down. They may be born as human beings, but at the lowest level, or they may be born as animals. Then to one lifetime, they have to serve as animal. Then again, we born as human being. Continue the journey. Journey continues, but there will be a little bit setback. For one lifetime, they will have to take, like if a child misbehaves, the mother makes the child sit down on a chair in the basement facing the wall. Or grounding a teenager. This weekend you will have no car. Then you cannot watch TV. Mother does it out of love so that it can improve. They don't want to really punish the child, but some children need that. So that is tamas. For one lifetime, God will say, take a break and work out your karma. Then next time when you're born, will be come back to human life, continue. They have to take a break because so much bad they have done, tamasic activity. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः जगन्यगुणवृत्तस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः. It's all familiar to us. Already we know these things, but they have come here again in one chapter. Now the next verse sloka, next set of sloka 19 to 26, end of this chapter. In that segment, Bhagavan Sri Krishna explains two things. What are the signs, lakshanas, of a person who has become free from the three gunas? Almost similar to the lakshanas of sattva in the second chapter. The second chapter, remember, sloka number 54, Arjuna asked the question of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, what are the signs of sattva prajna? 254. Sita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava. Sitadih kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta. How does he behave, Sita prajna? How does he speak? How does he act? Arjuna's question. From 55 onwards, sloka 55 onwards in second chapter until 71, 72, end of chapter, Bhagavan gives a long list of qualities of a Sita prajna. How to reach that? By practicing those things. In the same way, in the 12th chapter, from sloka number 13 to 19, Bhagavan Sri Krishna explains the qualities of a bhakta, devotee of God. Now, in this chapter, next few slokas, Bhagavan describes what are the qualities of a person who has become free from the three gunas. What happens to a person when he gives up the three gunas? Rajas above. Those will come. What is the purpose? We can practice those things and become free from three gunas. Description of a gunarahita helps us to become gunarahitas by practicing those virtues. That will come in this last part of 14th chapter, 19 to 26. So, sloka number 19. Nanyam gunebhyah kartaram yadā drishtānupashyati gunebhyascha param vetti madbhavam sodigacchati. When the percipient sees no agent other than the constituents, percipient means seer, observer, sees no agent other than the constituents, other than the gunas, and knows my status beyond them. God is beyond the three gunas. Then he attains my status. So, two things we have to know. Where all the actions happen, who is the doer, and where do the karma phala, fruit of action, takes place, affects. Whom does it affect? Who does the work? Who gets the result of work? One thing. And that is the body mind. Our prakriti, our kshetra. All actions happen in the kshetra. Second question is, who is free from the three gunas and actions? Karma, karma phala, who is free from them? God within us, the Lord Himself, He is free. These two things we have to know. If we know these two things, no means not theoretically, we should really experience these things, be convinced about them 100%. Then what happens? Saha madbhavam adhigacchati. You see the word so adhigacchati in second line of verse 19. Saha adhigacchati. Sa means such a person. He. Sa means he or she. Sa means she. Sa means he. Madbhavam adhigacchati. Reaches me, my status. Let me read the translation. When the percipient sees no agent other than the constituents and knows my status beyond them, he attains my status. So what it means is, we should know two things. Who is the doer? Kartaram. Karta means one who does action. Who is the doer? And who is the experiencer of the result of action? To whom does the result of action affect? Gunebhyah anyam na anyam kartaram anupashyati. Drashta. Drashta means one who sees. A person who has clear observation, we see but we don't see. We see only the gross outer thing. We don't see the heart of the matter. But those who have incisive vision, they know all actions happen only at the body-mind level. One thing. Until God's presence within us is free from action, does not get involved in action, pure consciousness. Second thing is, all result of our action, good action producing good result, bad action producing bad result, all of those results of action affect whom? Body, mind, kshetra. The Atman is free from karma, karma phala. That is the truth. That we have to clearly understand. And what is to be done next step? Not be attached to karma, karma phala. They're all happening in my body, mind. I'm not the body, mind. I'm the Atman. For me, there is no karma phala. If the body, mind does good action, they do good action, they'll enjoy good result. Sattvic action. If the body, mind does bad action, especially mind, all actions start mostly in the mind first. Bad thoughts resulting in bad action. Then result will come, suffering will come to whom? Body, mind. I'm neither of those. I'm the Atma, I am free from karma, karma phala. I'm always in supreme bliss, Satchidananda. That is true knowledge. If a person has that knowledge, then what happens? Result is saha madbhavam adhigacchati. So last part of 19. Such a person reaches my status, reaches God. So two things we have to know. We studied all these things before in Karma Yoga. Who is the doer? A Bhakta says, I am the doer because body-mind attachment cannot be given up so easily. Let it be there, but I am a servant, I am a dasa, I am a child of God, God is my father, mother, I am a servant of God. Like that, the I can be kept. And regarding action, what is the bhakta do? I am the doer, but I am doing everything as offering, as service, as seva, as puja, as worship. That way, bhakta is safe. He has the body consciousness, but he does everything as offering to God, as service of God, as worship of God. Then he is free, more or less, from karma phala. Jnani goes a step higher. He says, I am not the doer at all. That we studied in chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. There, the Jnani's position is explained. Jnani does all kinds of actions as Ajnanis do. Jnani also eats, Jnani also walks and talks and sleeps and does other things. But other people say, I'm the doer, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I'm walking, I'm speaking, I'm doing this. Jnani says, I'm not doing any of these things. Still, he does these things in body. Jnani does all these things, eating everything. But if you ask Jnani, you're doing all these things, how can you say you're not the doer? He'll give an explanation. That is explained in verse number 8 and 9 in chapter 8, verses 5 and 6. Let me give the correct number. I should remember that one. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Dana, here. Naiva. Chapter 5, verse 8 and 9. Chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. Jnani's position. Jnani says, I am not the doer. Then how does he explain the actions he is doing? So in 5, 8 and 9, Jnani says, Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan srinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrijan grinhan unmishan nimishan napi indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. Jnani does all these things. List of actions is given there. But if you ask him, how come you are doing all these things, and say you are not a doer, Naiva kanchit karomi, Jnani says, I am not doing anything. How can you say that one? Last line he gives explanation. Second line of verse 9 in chapter 5. There he says, Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. All actions happen as result of interaction between indriyani, one or more sense organs. How many? We have 11 sense organs, including mind. Interaction between one or more sense organs and indriyartheshu, sense objects, different kinds of sense objects. Where is the I? Am I the sense organ? Am I the sense object? Why should I put the I there where it does not belong? I am the Atman, free from action. That is what this verse is saying here, number 19 in chapter 4. He says, Atman is free from action. All actions happen at the body-mind level. All result of action affect the body and the mind. I am none of those things. I am the Atman, free from action, free from karma phala. This is true vision. This is true knowledge. If a person gets this knowledge, then he becomes one with God, reaches the goal, human life, liberation. So, verse number 19, we'll stop there. Say the closing prayer. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble and auspicious. May no one be subject to any kind of misery. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, no ill will, no hatred, Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adi Daivika Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu. Thank you all. All of you stay well. God willing, we'll see you next week.